Hello, everybody, and welcome to Smart Women Read Romance, a book review podcast where we fangirl over all things romance. I'm Juliette.
And I'm Jessen.
Today we'll be reviewing Talk British to Me by Robin Bielman, the first book in her Wherever You Go series. But before we dive in, make sure you subscribe to the podcast on your preferred podcast platform and please rate and review us. We really appreciate it. Jessen and I love getting feedback from our listeners, so follow us on our social media pages at SW Read Rom. If you're looking for some extras, join our Patreon for access to exclusive giveaways, a look behind the scenes of our episodes, and exclusive content including monthly videos featuring Q&As and some fun games. A special shout out to our newest patron. We're so thankful for all of our patrons for supporting the podcast. All righty.
A little chit-chat.
Yes.
Chitty chat before we start this podcast.
So what's going on?
So I was just like, so you know how the main girl character, her name's Teague. Mm-hmm. Such a weird name, correct? But
right.
I'm like, girl, I feel you because my name's really weird too.
Yes.
I know. It's a very weird name.
Yeah.
But I actually, whenever I saw it, I was like, I almost named, like whenever I was like, I'm going to write books. I almost named one of my characters Tegan. Because I don't know, I just like that name.
Like that too.
It's just like, it sounded fun and different and unusual. And I was like, I have inspiration and I want to write Tegan. So I was actually like I was like, yeah, I like this name, Teague. It's so different.
It's very different.
I also like his name, Mateo, too. So
Oh, I definitely like that name.
we know you like
for
that
particular
name.
reasons.
Mm-hmm.
But it's so funny. Okay, so I had to tell you this, and I know this is so weird because I remember I mentioned to you that I have this weird thing now, and I don't know how long it's been going on, but it's been getting worse lately. Okay.
Oh God, sounds like something serious is happening.
I have a disease. No. Okay, so I bought a new car last week. All right. And I'm sitting like in the office with the finance dude, and he's like my age. He's maybe mid-40s or whatever. Really nice eyes, and I'm just sitting there thinking, like, he would be really good in a romance book. And I'm like, well, let me. So I'm like literally checking him out as a character for a book. And then I'm like, oh my God, this dude is probably thinking I'm checking him out, because I'm like very happily married. And then I'm like, avert your eyes, stop staring.
So basically you just look at people and you're like, you will be my next character.
I'm like judging them for future inspiration. And
your quirk is great. I'm going to use your quirk, basically.
Exactly. And so like I would start watching mannerisms that people are using and just, I don't know. It's weird.
The life of a romance author.
It's so weird. I'm like, I think I'm weird.
They will judge you and put you in their books.
Yeah.
But not in a mean way, just in a, hey, you're inspiring me way.
Exactly.
I thought that was cool. Okay, I also had one more funny story just to tell because I love the whole premise of this book.
Okay.
And so as you know, I have gone to Europe a couple times, but the first time that I went, we were actually in Amsterdam for New Year's Eve. And I swear everybody and their mom, like from all different countries, were in Amsterdam for New Year's Eve. I ran into a lot of people from the UK for New Year's Eve too. So my friend Megan, God bless her. I love her so much. She's the best person to travel with. So she decided, she's just so cray-cray. She was like talking to people from London and she was like, I'm from London. And she was like trying to do a British accent. She's like, can you tell I'm also from London? And they're like, no, your accent sounds terrible. You're not from London. She's like, yes, I am. And I was
Crazy
like,
American,
Megan,
stop it. Stop.
I was like, you're embarrassing me. Because, they call me Mama Jess. Like whenever I was on the trip, I was like the one looking out for people.
I just can't even picture that. That's
no.
crazy.
What? Me? Being in a motherly role?
Yeah. Super maternal.
No. So anyway, I just thought that was hilarious because Megan has some balls on her. And I was like, but when we do go to London, because London was on our list of stops, I'm like, you can't do that.
Yeah. You just flat out, Megan,
I'm like, I will walk away.
Yeah. We will no longer be friends.
So anyway, okay, let's get to the actual book review portion. Let's get to that.
Yep. This is a dual POV book with a very cool secret identity trope involving our hero. Robin Bielman creates magnetic characters who dance around their attraction for one another, having us on the edge of our seat asking, will they or won't they? Since this is more on the slow burn side of things, our MCs have time to build a strong emotional bond, committing to being friends despite their blazing hot attraction for one another.
Holy hell.
Wow.
And is it hot?
It is.
Also, since this book is called Talk British to Me, just gotta say, damn, I love a good accent.
Oh, God.
Like,
The premise alone was like, I've got to read this.
Yeah. And I can also see why a talk show featuring a British guy would be mega successful, like just in America, because
Just
like
in America.
we just love that.
We
love that.
Yeah, we are.
Like,
We're obsessed.
Ooh,
Totally.
ooh. It's almost like ASMR, but you know. But I wonder what type of accent he used, since there are just so many in the
British,
UK.
yeah.
You know, because like British is technically not an accent,
Right,
You know,
right.
British means like Wales,
I figured it was
Irish,
English,
Scotland.
you know.
I figured it was the RP accent. They also call it like BBC English. Like, you know, the accent that you hear on BBC, kind of like a posh, you know, British
Right.
accent. Mostly people speak like contemporary RP. But anyway, that's what probably people were thinking of. But I thought it would also be cool if he did like one of the other accents, like a Brummie one or a Bristol accent like Hagrid had in Harry Potter.
Yeah.
And could you just imagine if he had that? There's
God.
just so many different accents like Mancunian, Leeds, Newcastle, Liverpool, Scottish accent because I love it.
Oh yeah.
If he had a Scottish
Gerard
accent,
Butler.
oh my God! I mean,
nice.
give me all the Scots.
Yeah,
But you
yeah.
know, anyway. So I'm pretty sure it was just like regular RP. But
Yeah.
any accent is a good accent in my book. I'm just an accent kind of girl.
Yeah. It's such a fun idea for a story.
Yeah, she's
So,
awesome.
Yeah. So I met Robin online. She's a pub sister of mine with Entangled. Talk British to Me is with Entangled. And so I actually didn't really get to know her until this book came out. And I was like, man, you know, and I like to try to support my pub sisters and check out their books. And so I read it and I was like, this is so much fun. And so this is one of the few I got to recommend to you.
Yes,
you know?
you did. You were like, you've got to pick up this book. It's amazing.
And I forgot, I even did they had that Talk British challenge for her release.
Oh my God, yes. And you had to read a portion of your own book in your own, you know,
my own
accent. English accent. So that is hilarious. I filmed it for you. And
Burning that footage wherever that
was
is.
so much fun. I might pull it up. I don't know.
Oh God. Let's not.
I'm holding it over her
God,
head just in
hostage.
case she does anything.
Jesus, no.
But anyway, I mean, we're so excited. We love Robin, and we're
Yeah,
excited to
super
have the
nice.
opportunity to read two of her newest releases, Promise Me and also Heartthrob, which is coming
Yes.
out pretty soon. So God, they're just so good.
I know.
So I really love Promise Me. Promise Me is so awesome. And I also, not only do I like the romance, but I also like there's like some really cool like sister dynamic in there. And I'm just like very
That
curious.
was fun and surprising. Wasn't
So
it?
I hope that it continues.
Yeah, and
So-
Heartthrob is a really fun sports romance and cute and sexy. I loved it.
I love sports romances though, so you already got me with that. So
Yeah.
Thank you, Robin, for those arcs. So nice. So let's get into our main characters. First, we have Teague, who's a small town girl who moved to Los Angeles with her best friend to quote unquote sink or swim on her own. Teague has a dream to become a travel writer, but bides her time at a coffee shop while taking classes. A job as the assistant to a highly sought after wedding planner falls into her lap and leads to numerous run-ins with the very sexy guy that she dumped her hot wings on at a bar, which I think is hilarious.
It is one of my favorite
Scenes.
cutes.
It's very
just
funny.
Awesome.
That hot guy is none other than Mateo, who is hiding the fact that he is the voice behind the very successful radio segment Know the Score, masquerading as a smooth-talking Brit named Bennett. His job requires him to stay single and date around as research, but meeting Teague has become his sole interest. It's a disaster waiting to happen because Teague is a relationship girl and he's not on the market.
Okay, guys. So there are our characters, and now we're about to move into our spoiler section. So if you don't want to hear any of the spoilery stuff, run out and grab Talk British to Me. Awesome, awesome book. You won't regret it.
And then come back and chat with us.
Okay, here we go. Spoilery stuff. First off, Showdown, Jessen.
Showdown. I'm ready.
I hope you didn't pick mine.
I feel like I picked a weird scene. I feel like
Okay.
people are being like, but why you pick that scene? I'm serious.
All right,
Okay, so
let's hear it.
my Showdown scene is actually the scene where they go to the Dodgers game.
Okay.
And people might be like, but he like kisses somebody else during that scene. But this, like, I've already told you, I love it whenever in a book we just see the characters hanging out and having just like fun like normally, like nothing really like a date or like romance thing.
We
just
like those very normal
situations.
scenes. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So I thought it was so adorable. First of all, he invites her to a Dodgers game and he was like, why the fuck did I invite her? Like I was going to take one of my friends, but I just can't stay away. So I love that fact. Then they sit down next to this woman named Betty, who's like, she's just like this cute old woman that like goes to like every Dodgers game. She keeps score, and like Teague was like bonding with her. And then Mateo bought her all kinds of like, you know, paraphernalia, like for a first time Dodgers fan, like a big foam finger, like how embarrassing, like all kinds of stuff. And I love it. So I just love all of their interactions. He's like super flirty during it.
Yes.
And, I strangely like the fact that whenever she comes back from going to the bathroom, that there's another girl in her seat and the kiss cam gets on them. And the girl kisses Mateo on the kiss cam. He doesn't do anything because they're being like, you know, filmed.
Right.
And so she is like putting on it. She's like, oh my God, that was so great. Y'all are so adorable. If that was me, I'd be so embarrassed.
Yeah, no, don't worry. You can keep that
like,
seat.
Oh no, I'll sit on the other side of Betty. Like she was being like such the bigger person, even though she was like dying inside. But like Mateo's instant reaction, he was like, Teague, like he wanted like to talk to her so bad about it. And like he did after he's like, look, he was like, I didn't want to like push her away. I didn't want to like embarrass her and stuff, but I swear to God, I did not kiss her back. But I felt like that was like the moment where it was like no turning back. It's like, yeah, we're friends, but it's also he cared about what she thought happened and she obviously was jealous. Like it was very, I don't know. I just like that scene. Like my heart always drops, but then it always is like he's so quick to try to explain what happened that I'm also like, God, you two just get together.
I know. And I love that too. Also that Robin didn't like leave us hanging. Like she was just mortified like the rest of the night and just carried that home.
They had fun the rest of the day.
They did. And especially after he really, and she's not the kind of person who's, Teague isn't like
hold a grudge or anything.
And holding like, I don't believe you or anything crazy like that. Like she totally trusts him. Is like, okay, I trust what he's saying is true. And it is true, you know? So I really like that too. Okay, this is the Showdown scene.
Yeah, I know. It's weird, but I like it. I'm sorry.
You love the baseball scenes and those kind of scenes.
I do. I like whenever they just go hang out like in a park or like or whatever. Something. Yeah, exactly. Sweet and fun. I do like those scenes.
You do like those. So mine is, and I think I had a little bit of appeal from my own teenagehood, was the risky business scene.
Oh my God. That scene was so funny.
Okay, so this is where she is at the house where the bachelor pad where they're having the
Henry's bachelor party.
Henry's bachelor party. And so she's cleaning up the house. They're not there yet. And she's basically in just the risky business Tom Cruise attire.
Yeah, she has like a hoodie and her panties and fuzzy socks.
And she's just jumping around and cleaning and singing into the broom and like all this crazy stuff. And then of course, as soon as she finishes, she turns around and he's right there, just sitting there watching with the biggest
clapping
smile. Clapping. He says, "You're the most fucking adorable thing I've ever seen in my life."
Yeah. He's like, "You're so fucking hot right now."
I know, like you're so, and I love when we get his thoughts. He's always thinking about how adorable she is and he just wants to like grab her and, you know, and this was that moment where I think he really was like, I can't stand it anymore. Cause this scene sort of leads into their first.
Right. Exactly.
Their intimate scene.
The first little intimate scene.
Well, super
intimate. I love that scene as well because it's like, escalate your relationship.
And it just showed how fun
Teague was.
Just being so playful.
Girl.
Yes.
Yeah, and especially with like all the stuff he talks about, like on his talk show, he talks about what type of girl he wants, and it's all pointing to her.
Yeah,
it's all pointing
it's not
to her.
These supermodel, whatever.
No, not at all. So good. Y'all go vote on that.
Go vote for me. Okay, guys, bye. All right, so let's get into the breakdown. All right, so there is a popular radio segment in Los Angeles called Know the Score, hosted by a British guy named Bennett who gives dating advice. Of course, this is Mateo. Teague and her best friend Harper listen to it every morning at the coffee shop. Okay, and it's funny because the whole coffee shop like freezes when he's on, like they just turn everything off, all the coffee grinders are off, and they listen to his advice, his little segment. So Teague's dream is of being a travel writer, and it's kind of on pause because all of her pitches were rejected. She's kind of like in this limbo state. She has a degree, she's working in a coffee shop. You know what I mean? Like she's still
a couple
trying to
classes about like writing and stuff like that
online and stuff like that. But she's kind of like in that freeze mode of her career. So she moved to Los Angeles to live with Harper with an attempt to ditch the baby of the family label. Her parents and her siblings are super protective. Super protective. She's also recently had her heart broken by a douchebag back home.
Yeah, he's terrible.
So we get a little bit of that. It's not a major part of the story, but it's a little bit of a reason
I feel like it's more just like, here's some information, but not like, I like how it doesn't like affect her. Like she says, she's like, I know not all people are like him, but I just want a break right now, which is understandable. Right. But I like how she's not like, I'm writing off all men.
All men suck
forever. And I'm like, no,
they don't.
Don't be that dramatic. I mean, you can want a break, but
right. Yeah. So she's also the kind of person. She's not a casual dater. She kind of gets attached, and she knows that about herself. So she's like, I'm going to take a break. So, but Harper is always trying to get Teague to go out and meet guys. She's like, have fun, have a little sex, like do some casual stuff. Yeah. And she's just like, she has nothing against it. It's just not
she's just like, I can't, like, I need to connect with people.
Right. Harper's all about the casual and is really good at it and having a blast.
Yeah. I love Harper.
I do too. She's hilarious.
She's like the crazy friend that you need, like the yin and the yang.
Yeah. So anyway, so Teague is delivering a standing coffee order to Gabrielle Gallagher. It's like, I guess every morning she has to come and drop this off. It's a popular wedding consultant, Gabrielle Gallagher, and somehow she gets roped into running an errand for the dragon lady. She reminds me so much of
Miranda Priestley
in Devil Wears Prada.
I almost said Dragon Wears Prada. Devil Wears Prada.
That was my immediate response.
Definitely.
When we meet her.
She's definitely a hard ass, you know, but she's good at her job.
Yeah, because her assistant apparently is missing, got fired or quit or whatever.
Probably quit.
I would think quit. She's like, you take this, go get this, pick this up for me. She's like
me?
I'm a coffee girl. Yeah. So she does. And so she grabs like these wedding party favors, these big, I don't know, Gucci bags.
Yeah, they were giving Gucci as wedding favors.
Serious. These aren't just wedding
Los Angeles shit.
Favors. Yeah, exactly. And she's informed that she needs to report back there after her shift after the coffie house.
And Teague's like, what?
She's like, why? She goes, I need a new assistant and you're it. Okay. I would be Teague too.
Crazy.
I was like, what? But then she says, look, I already have a job. She's like, I'll triple your salary, whatever it is.
And Teague's like, I'd be an idiot to pass this up, honestly.
Yeah, a dum-dum. So Teague jumps at the opportunity, even though she knows working for Gallagher is not going to be like an easy job. But she
already knows. But then she's
she
like,
also kind of likes the idea of being in the weddings. So like she likes romance. She likes this kind of thing.
She does like that. So after a long, hard week of working for the BBG, which is her and Harper's nickname for Miss Gallagher, stands for Big Bitch Gallagher.
Perfect.
Teague finally caves and joins Harper for a night out at the bar. So it's really busy that night, and Teague volunteers to go grab the wing order herself from the bar. And so it's so packed that whenever she turns around, she accidentally dumps her tray of wings on a guy's shirt. And she makes it even worse by like rubbing it in. She's like,
isn't he wearing like white linen or something?
Well, white cotton, but like
some
just
kind
like
of fabric.
very
It's just
bright
soaking
white.
in. Yeah.
And she's but like he says something like, I forgot what he says, but his voice catches her attention first. Like she's like, oh my God, it like reaches past me. Like it's so beautiful. But we love a good sexy voice. We even, have our favorite actors that we're like, his voice is pretty damn hot.
Let me hear some of yours.
I like Benedict Cumberbatch, Alan Rickman, God rest his soul.
Oh God, Alan Rickman.
Jeremy Irons. I mean, I think Jeremy Irons is my ultimate though, because his voice is just it's so
hypnotizing.
Yes, it's crazy.
Okay, let me tell you too that I just think, and I tell Kevin this every time we do a rewatch of Game of Thrones, I'm like, they have the sexiest voices ever.
Oh my God, who?
Dondarrion.
Beric Dondarrion?
Yes.
Really?
He has a rich, like deep voice, but it's like, I don't know. It's like, I don't even know. It's like deep, dark, rich, but one that's more of like the honeyed voice that I really love is Lord Bolton, not Ramsay, the father.
I would agree that he has a nice voice, but it's like so hard to separate him from his horrible self.
I can easily do that because I just close my eyes and I'm like, dude, your voice.
He says such horrible things though.
I know, but y'all, still.
Anyway, instead of being pulled in by his flirtiness, Teague makes her escape. But Mateo is intrigued because she's like shy. She's like blushing. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not his normal reaction as a girl when like, ooh, you're hot. Let me be forward with you.
Yeah,
and Teague's
she's just
not
backing
forward.
off like super.
So he sends Teague a drink, which was called a full body massage. And they spend the rest of the night like catching each other's eyes and like looking away. And we learn that Mateo is the dating guy because we're in his perspective. And he hides his real identity behind a fake accent and name because he said that if he went on dates and they knew he was the dating guy, he would never know if like what they're doing was like real. He's trying to give real dating advice. His goal is to quote unquote teach them the score so that they can do casual or serious and not cast blame solely on the guy if things don't work out. And he's doing it from a guy's perspective. Like that's what he's doing. And he says he gives the single guy's perspective on dating, love, and sex to millions of radio listeners. So he's also contractually obligated to remain single so that he can date around as research for his job. Like he has to do every weekend. He has to go on dates Friday and Saturday. Teague is like a breath of fresh air, though, to Mateo because she won't give him the time of day. We know how that all works, okay?
Right.
It's one you can't have.
I love this idea, though, that, I mean, it created this conflict where he can't be with her because he's freaking signed a contract.
Yeah, it's like a very real reason.
Yeah, I just thought it was very cool. So I love how after they meet, Mateo always incorporates a little bit about Teague into his segments. Like he talked about the sexiness of her wrist.
Yes, that was a red flag. Like after their day, like whenever he drives in the car with her and he looks at her wrist and he was like, oh, it's so delicate and dainty. And then the next Know the Score was talking about, hey girls, you don't need to flash some cleavage. Yeah. Wrists are nice too.
Wrists
and I'm just
really
like,
beautiful.
You're thinking about Teague.
Exactly. I just thought that was really cool.
I think it was a very subtle way of showing how much he really is thinking about her. And I really enjoyed it.
Something happens in every one of his
every single one.
Yeah, is about her. So Teague has to give herself these pep talks to deal with Gallagher's demands.
I love them.
Which is so funny. She was required to go above and beyond for their bride-to-be's, like the engagement photo shoot she has to go to.
That was a funny scene.
She has to basically go and hold the hand of the bride-to-be.
Yeah, whatever Gallagher tells her to do, she must do.
Yeah, and so she has like this horrific incident at the photo shoot. It's of course the bride to be is allergic to bees. Yeah, and they're at like this arboretum or something.
Yeah, a botanical garden. Where there's probably bees everywhere.
Botanical gardens. Thank you. And so of course something happens where they all fall into the fountain
because she thinks she sees a bee, and so she's behind Teague. Yeah. And so she pulls her in, and then the fiance goes to pull them out, and he falls in. It's just a mess. But fortunately for her, the bride ends up laughing about it, and they say like, "Oh, that's something we'll never forget."
Yeah, and the photographer takes pictures. Yeah, he takes more pictures. Cute. Yeah, and he captures like this moment of them laughing and looking at each other, and I was like, "Yeah, they'll always remember that."
Sweet.
Okay, so when Gallagher fires her after hearing about the disaster photo shoot, the bride. That's when the bride saves her job by raving about Teague because this is one of the many times she keeps getting fired.
Right. Many times that Gallagher's like, nope, go, bye.
Yes. So here's a plot twist though, guys. Mateo shows up at Gabrielle Gallagher's office because she is none other than his mother.
Yeah. Yep.
So he was gonna go surprise her for lunch, to take her out to lunch because he missed like brunch or something the Sunday before. And as he's stepping off the elevator, he bumps into a woman holding all the invitations, and they go everywhere. Well, it's Teague. So, of course, they recognize each other, and she's quickly trying to get away from him.
She's like, oh, my God, I got to go run these errands. I hope they're not ruined.
Yeah, she's freaking out looking at every single invitation, making sure they're not bent or have, dirt on them or whatever. But Mateo is very flirty. He ends up getting in the car with her. He's like, I need to help you, because he realizes when he sees his own invitation that these are Madison's invitations, which is his mom's goddaughter and like a family friend.
Right.
So he's like, let me go with you and I'll smooth this over in case you need it or whatever. Just as an excuse to get in the car.
And she is like, why would you be able to smooth this over?
Like, why are you in my car? So anyway, but I love Teague says here, lately I can't seem to stay clean or dry. And Mateo says, are you saying I make you wet, Teague?
He's just so flirty.
He's super
he can't
flirty.
help it. He cannot help it. He can't stay away from Teague.
No.
So she also doesn't want to get pulled into Mateo's like orbit because she immediately recognizes that a relationship with him would be a hit and quit kind of scenario.
Right. He seems like a good player.
Right, exactly. And she also doesn't want to jeopardize her job, which is she's like, look, I'm making really good money and I'm not going to jeopardize it because whenever she does find out, because he was like, hey, this is my invitation. So she does find out that that's his mom. So Mateo escorts her into the building after they do the whole invitation drop off, and his mom immediately zeroes in on the fact that he is like watching Teague.
Yeah.
And she tells Mateo to stay away from her assistant. And when Teague chimes in like, hello, that's what I've been trying to tell him like all along.
Yeah.
And the mom, Gallagher, says, I'm not telling him for your sake, but for his. And I was like, ouch. She was
I
like,
know.
so
Thanks
mean.
a lot.
Like, you and my son, no. And so,
That's
but
so
I do
harsh.
like Mateo soothes that like wicked ass burn by coming back with, good call, mom. When I meet a girl like Teague, I want it to be when I'm ready to get serious. And I'm like,
yeah, that's right. That's right, Mateo.
like, yeah, she's serious material.
That's right.
So he tells his mom that he had lunch with a friend named Knox, which is his new nickname for Teague, thanks to intercepting a phone call with her sister. And she calls Teague Fort Knox. So now this is like his cute little nickname for her, and I love it. And I love the fact that he told his mom that he had lunch with Knox. And she was like, who's
and
that?
It sounds like a guy.
Yeah,
you know?
like, who's that?
Just a friend.
So Teague impresses the BBG by being a kick-ass assistant. Like she like helps her with some of the wedding planning and like smooth over some like venue. Like the brides weren't sure about this venue, but then she's like, oh yeah. And like, then it was a done deal.
Right.
So she likes her job, even though she's a difficult boss. She really does like it. Like you never get the sense that she's like, oh my God, I want to quit. So, and I also love how friendly Teague is and her cute little relationship with like the building security guy, Briggs. She's just like such a nice person. And so she just fits in very well, like talking to all of like the brides and stuff like that. She's just she's romantic. She's also a friendly person.
She has that small town charm.
Yeah,
you know
she does. So the BBG sends Teague to drop off an envelope, and she's surprised because Mateo opens the door. And
like,
this is whenever he knows what's in the envelope. It's tickets to the Dodgers game. And he invites Teague without even thinking twice. And then after he does it, he's like, shit, I was going to invite like some of his roommates, Elliot or Levi
or somebody.
Somebody. So he disguises the invite as a friends hanging out and him wanting to show her cool places to write about for her blog, which he's like trying to find reasons to like get her to agree because she was not going to. But he knows how to pull her in. He knows that she likes to do travel writing and stuff like that, and he wants to show her since he lives in Los Angeles, since he's from there.
Yeah, you just disguise that, Mateo. You just make up those reasons.
You just
keep believing it. You keep on keeping on.
Yeah, Mateo.
So they get to the Dodgers game, and Mateo introduces her to Betty, who is a huge Dodgers fan, an older lady who sits the seats right next to them, season tickets, I guess, next to them. And this is your showdown scene where he buys her all the merchandise, the foam finger, and all kinds of stuff. Even the Dodgers sleep shirt, which we see a couple of times.
Cuddle with a Dodgers fan, and he's like, you don't have to wear it with me, but you also can't wear it with anybody else.
I love that.
That was so cute.
Awesome. It was too cute. And I think he was being dead serious.
Definitely.
So he can't help being flirty. This is just Mateo's personality.
Yeah.
That's the kind of guy he is. He puts his arm around the back of her chair and leans in. It's like, you smell good, Knox, and is like saying all these things. And I know. Teague, but this is when Teague excuses herself to go to the bathroom, and when she comes back, that's when we see the chick sitting in the chair next to him, some pretty brunette or something.
Like, as much as she wants to say that she is gonna just try not to be jealous or try not to be possessive, it's really hard whenever you have somebody that wants to hang out with you all the time, and you just have a connection with them. It's very hard to not be jealous. So
now, she did play it off really well, and
she did.
But I just so felt for her. I'm like, oh my God, though.
But I like how he explained it right away. You know?
Yeah. So we do have that moment where she's like, no, it's fine, you can stay, and the girl's like, oh no, I'll talk to you later, bye, Mateo, and she skips off. And so she's not really giving him the cold shoulder, but being a little bit more distant, and then that's when he's like, look,
she's trying to protect her heart.
Teague, I'm sorry. Look, I would never disrespect you, and he even tells her that she kissed me and I didn't kiss her back,
not at all.
Right. And so then they move on, and the rest of the game they have tons of fun. And she also knows that she's in trouble because she knows if she keeps hanging out with him, she is going to lose her heart. There's just no way. There's no way. I mean, he's
too amazing.
Yes. And he's so sincere and genuine with her. You know what I mean?
I mean, they talk about a lot of things.
A silly flirt.
No, they talk about serious things, which I really do like how they really talk about like their life, their past dreams, their goals in the future, stuff like that. I mean, they really do get to know each other very well.
Yeah. So the next day or so, or later that week, she is given the task of meeting Madison, which is Mateo's like childhood friend and the goddaughter of Gabrielle, to pick out the bridesmaids' gifts at Tiffany's or something. And so she's like, okay, you know, I'll go. And then Harper's like, hey, can I come along?
I love how Harper just feels comfortable enough to invite her.
I know. It's like, hey, I'm going to come with you. I'll help pick out the...
She also like crashes a wedding later. Like she doesn't even care.
I know. She's awesome.
I love Harper.
I know. I could never do the things Harper does.
Me neither. Like she's the opposite of me.
Me too. Well.
But I like her.
Right. So the three of them instantly click and they have fun. They pick out the bridesmaids' presents and then they decide to go for tacos and tequila.
Because it's Cinco de Mayo, baby.
That's right. It's Cinco de Mayo. So they have a good time kind of bonding and everything. And Harper ends up by giving Madison tips on how to strip tease for her fiance, Henry, which I thought was hilarious.
It was. I love that scene.
Like, you know, she's done this before.
Yeah,
so she's giving all the right
such
tips.
A detailed description of how to do a striptease.
Hold his eyes. You know,
it was
all
great.
Of that. It was so
loved it.
Funny. So afterwards, they end up having to Uber home, you know, because they've had quite a few.
Oh, yeah.
Harper even encourages Teague, though, to ask Madison about Mateo since they grew up together, you know. And so she does learn a little bit inside scoop here that he does coach soccer for underprivileged kids, which
is so cute.
I know, like, come on.
Yeah, because he used to be a soccer player until he got injured. He had a very serious injury. And so this is what he does.
Right. Thanks a lot for being even more adorable.
Yeah. Besides being a really sexy British personality on the radio that nobody knows about.
All around charming guy.
Is great with kids. There is another, I mean, we're not going to mention her too much in the podcast, but his neighbor is like a little 6-year-old girl. And she loves hanging out with Mateo. Right. And like always calls him Teo. And like, he's so good with kids. And I love a guy who's good with kids.
The little girl. And I love how he talks about how the little girl has a crush on Levi and stuff.
Yes. It's so adorable.
She's like, he's so cute. She's too cute.
She is.
So to wrap up that part of the scene, I just want to share a quote by Teague. She says, "I'm curious about him in a way that isn't good, considering nothing will come of it. What has come of it are some great posts for my travel blog. I'm finding them easier to write and gaining followers." So we can see her.
She's like, on the one hand, pro and con of still hanging out with Mateo because she knows, she's like, there's no way that I'm not going to get attached.
Yeah.
But it's also like, but I'm having a lot of fun. My writing's going really well.
She can't stop herself. Yeah, she can't really stop herself at this point. And I totally feel it.
Yeah, I do too. So Mateo is also curious about Teague. So whenever he spots bright pink ping pong balls at a sporting goods store, he remembers that she claims to be like really good at it and buys them. He like buys like 5 packs of them, and he shows up at their apartment.
That's so funny. He just buys them all.
Yeah, he buys them all. Shows them at the apartment and that she shares with Harper. This is the same Cinco de Mayo night, and finds them a little drunk because they were taking like tequila shots.
Oh my God.
And so he decides, since they were like so drunk, he was going to table the ping pong challenge. But you know, he's almost hanging out.
Did you want to tell him what was frozen on the television?
Oh my God, yes. I'm so sorry. Whenever he opens the door, like a big schlong is on the TV because they were watching porn, which was hilarious.
And they freeze framed it. And
I think they meant to turn it off.
Yeah,
it was pretty good. So I thought that was a hilarious thing. So instead of the ping pong challenge, they watch a movie and get to know each other some more, including their dating history.
Yeah.
So Mateo has had one serious girlfriend that abandoned him once he was injured and hooked up with his friend. Like, that's a hard pill to swallow.
Very.
And then Teague dated a guy for years only to be dumped publicly, and embarrassingly he told people that she was horrible in bed, which is kind of like a thing for her. She's like kind of like, well, I'm really inexperienced. I really don't know if I'm bad or not.
So maybe I am bad, you know?
So that's kind of a thing that comes up a little bit. Oh God, I wanted to kill him.
Like, I don't understand.
You are an asshole. I'm just like,
God. Oh, but you know there are dicks like this.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm glad that it didn't affect her. Like, once she finally wanted to be with Mateo, I'm glad that it wasn't like an issue,
right? Where she was like scared to do anything. I think that she got
so comfortable with Mateo that she just forgot to think about her ex douchebag's words.
Yeah.
So I like that.
Me too.
But cutely, they fall asleep on the couch, which is one of my favorite things ever.
Yes.
It really is one of my favorite things ever. And even though in reality it's pretty uncomfortable, like I wouldn't encourage sleeping on a couch. Also, I get really hot, so I'm just like, I don't want anybody touching me. I'm like, get off.
It's so adorable, but don't do it with me.
I love it because I can't do it. I'm like, but if I would, I love it.
But stop touching me.
Yeah, I'm like, but go on your side bye.
You go to. Oh my God, I'm laughing.
So Mateo asks Teague if she wants to watch a sunrise, and they hike up the hills to watch a beautiful sunrise.
That was really cool.
And I love this. Okay, I also identify with Teague because not many people that I know are this person, but she says, I love being up this early in the morning before the sun, before most people. It's peaceful, quiet, all my worries are non-existent, and I can just be. It's like nothing can touch me yet. And I'm just like,
I love that.
I love mornings too.
Yeah.
Mornings are just the best, but not everybody feels that way. But I'm a morning person, so yes.
Yeah,
I was like,
I became
a
a morning person after I had so many kids.
And you were like, quiet time?
Yes. Yeah. That's like, they're
quiet
all still asleep.
Amazing. So Mateo wraps his arms around her from behind, and Teague tries not to read too much into it, but he really makes it hard in more ways than one.
Like really hard.
Yeah.
She kind of gets to know really fast.
Kind of gets to rub her butt along a really other hard object. But we also see a little bit of Mateo jealousy later on whenever he drops by the coffee shop.
Yes, Brendan, the suit.
Brendan, yes, the suit. He calls him the suit.
The hottie.
Was like, hey, I'm moving offices, so I won't be able to make it. But here's like a little thank you. And like, my card's also in there with my number. I hope you use it. And so Mateo's kind of a little bit weird about it. He's like, but he weirdly, accurately knows what the card is. It has a kitten on it, and he's like guessing. He's like, I know guys, and he's like, and it contains like tickets to like some event that he wants you to meet him at. And it was really weird that he knew that. But he tries to warn her off going on a date with a guy, and they actually almost kiss at this point because he's like describing like what a first date should be. But they're interrupted by Harper, who needs help at the counter. Cock blocking. So this knocks some sense into Mateo, unfortunately, and he makes it seem like he wouldn't care if she went on a date with the guy, even though he's not at all okay with it. But he's trying to remind himself, he's like, I love my job, I love my job, I love my job. And
I love my job, but
like, you're saying it a little too often for it to be true.
It's like,
I'm like, you think you love your job, but
exactly.
We all know Teague's
like,
better.
But this guy can't go out. She can't go out with that guy. There's no way, you know? So Mateo's friend Elliot invites Harper to a party at their apartment, and they both end up heading over there. I love this party scene. I love all of this. It's so much fun. So this is after the wedding that Teague was overseeing, the one that Harper crashed. Yeah. Had like a great time at.
Exactly.
So they end up over there, and Mateo, I love his reaction when
he's her wedding dress.
Yes, she's in her little black dress. Okay, and it's super sexy, low cut,
and
high.
As Harper will say, Teague has perfect tits. So
yeah, she goes over and on about her perfect tits. So he's like getting something out the fridge, and she goes, "Hi." He turns around and literally drops the beer on the floor, and his jaw hangs off. It was the cutest reaction.
But I love how he like wants her to go cover up, because that's even more of a telling reaction.
Yeah, he doesn't want the guys to see her.
Yeah. And then he tells his friends, he's like, but she was cold. And we're like,
yeah, right.
You just didn't want anybody to see Teague, but whatever.
Exactly.
Whatever,
so he puts
Mateo.
one of his shirts over her, and it covers the dress and everything. Cute. I know. So at the party, though, they're all kind of hanging out back, and they sneak away to the hammock, which is like outside his little, it's outside his bedroom. And this is an awesome scene. And this is surprising too. I want to ask you about this. Okay. So they're spooning in the little whatever. And then it starts to get a little, you can tell the sexual tensions building. And he basically says like, I want to touch you. Like, I want to finger fuck you, you know,
no,
whatever.
He says, he's like, I want to make you come. Like, he legit tells her that.
Yeah. He's like, you know, can I basically? And she's like, yeah. So this scene was so interesting to me. They've not even kissed, but they have this really intimate scene where he gets her off, and she's like totally into it, you know. And I love that she's not reserved or anything about it.
No, like, and she even wants to reciprocate. And he was like, no, this is like, about you. Yeah. He's like, it was just about you, you know. I feel like you needed a release.
I know. And it was, yeah, right. I'm saying She did need a release, though.
She did.
So thank you for that. But I just find it really interesting that we get this kind of scene before we've even gotten a kiss.
I
which
did,
I
and
was,
I guess
cool,
I never
though.
even thought about it because I felt like
It
you
was
said,
very natural.
The sexual tension has been building so
Yes.
much that to me it wasn't surprising.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have thought about it until you mentioned it. And now I'm like, you're right. They never did
And
kiss
they don't even
before
kiss
this.
during it.
No.
Like, he's just getting her off.
No,
you know?
I don't know. I was just so ready for them to like do something that I was like, fuck
Yeah.
yes.
And it was
And also I think it
fucking
had,
hot.
I think also is because he was so adamant about this being about her.
Yeah.
I think it just never occurred to me that that was like, they went pedal to the metal, you know?
Awesome. It's awesome. So then they go and join the rest of the crew. They're all playing this fun party game, which I thought was so cute and adorable.
They sing songs, do, and you have to guess it.
When they get the drunk. It's fun. A drinking game, and it's fun. Later that night, Harper and Teague are too drunk to drive home, and he offers for them to stay the night. But he's like, no, it'll be, we'll be good. At first, he offers to sleep with Levi or on the couch or something and let her have his bed. She's like, no, we can sleep in the same bed or whatever.
Yeah, that's cute.
So he does go, when they get to his bedroom, he goes to the bathroom, whatever, to brush his teeth and stuff. When he comes back, all he sees is her dress, her bra, everything's on the floor, and she's like in his bed. And he's like, oh, hell no. There's no way.
I can't sleep.
There's no way I can sleep next to her and not touch her. So he is a gentleman, and he sleeps in the hammock. He sleeps on the hammock, which I thought was really, really awesome.
Yep.
Later on, after this whole incident, which was interesting because they've not really progressed beyond friends. It was almost like he just did his friend a favor. They've not discussed they're moving forward. But this is when she is given an assignment by Gabrielle Gallagher to go and be the
chaperone,
cook, chaperone, maid, or whatever for Henry's bachelor party, which is Madison's fiance. And Madison seems a little worried about Henry's bachelor party, and we find out that she was the one who fired the girl previously hired to cook, clean, and everything because she was so beautiful.
Yeah.
So that's a red flag to me.
Yeah. Teague's like,
I know, if you're that concerned about your fiance, something is amiss.
Yeah.
But so Teague agrees because she wants to make Madison feel better, about having a set of eyes on the party and on Henry and what's going on. She's like, okay, but she's also concerned because she knows Mateo is a groomsman and he's going to be at the house the whole weekend where she's at. So she's really nervous about this.
Poor thing. I feel for her.
I know.
So this is Juliette's showdown scene. Mateo arrives early to the house and catches Teague doing all of her risky business performance, her best Tom Cruise impression, in her pullover and underwear. And she says, he says, "You're the hottest fucking thing I've ever seen."
It was awesome.
And she's all like, "Mateo, you're early." And he's like, "Thank my fucking stars."
I know. I love that.
Like, it's so awesome. Good. So he tells Teague that he wasn't sure he was going to make it to the bachelor party until she mentioned that she was going to have to be there.
Right.
And he, quote, hated the idea of other guys being around her when he wasn't. And he says, "I haven't stopped thinking about you all week." And I'm just like,
hello, Mateo. Hello.
So he says, "This wasn't my intention this weekend." Like, I feel like this just like threw him over the edge, seeing her dance around in her panties, being so fucking adorable, but also like, I see your panties.
But like
great.
Sexy. She's got a hot body, and she's also just like the cutest thing ever.
Yeah, she's so adorable. And he says, "This wasn't my intention this weekend. It really wasn't. But I've had a hard on since I walked in and saw you dancing in your barely there underwear. And the truth is, I haven't touched another girl since I met you. I'm fucking ready to blow." And she goes, "That's it. My body and mine are in total agreement. I'm his to do with as he pleases." Yeah. So it's like they've reached their boiling point. It's done.
Yes.
So later that evening, she sneaks out of the room to go get some water. And she sees Henry, Madison's fiance, getting a lap dance from a naked stripper and feeling her up.
Yes.
And then they both disappear from the room.
Yeah.
But Mateo runs into her and follows her back to the room, and they finally give into their attraction, and Mateo fucks her 6 ways to Sunday.
Oh, yeah.
It's very hot.
It's
I mean,
very
he
hot.
tells her, "Sit on my face," and I was just like, hell yeah, just yes. I'm like, go.
It's
So
awesome.
it's just really beautiful, and basically they really can't even hide it the rest of the weekend because he's like always not there.
Yeah. Literally, he didn't leave the bedroom. Like, he was not with the guys at all.
So Teague realizes that she's half in love with him already, but isn't delusional and knows knows that it's just for the weekend. Like, she knows.
Right.
But the thing is, like, Mateo mixed signals. Like, whenever they were, like, leaving, parting ways and stuff, she
tries to put some distance.
And he, like, doesn't want it. But then he's like, I'm such an asshole for doing this. But
it is selfish because it's like he can't let her go. But at the same time, he's still going to be the one to push her away.
Right, exactly. And they do mention Henry. I'm glad that they did that Teague does mention it. But very surprising. Mateo's like, don't tell Madison because I've told her this before.
Yeah,
one of my
Madison
friends
knows.
So Madison knows, and this is why she's very vigilant. And he was like, I told her, and it almost ruined the friendship because I was like, get away from this guy.
I can't even imagine staying with a guy.
I can't either. I feel so bad for her, but I feel like it's a whole family thing. I feel like that was a lot of pressure between their families being so close and
almost like an arranged marriage.
Yeah, exactly.
After a week of keeping his distance, Mateo is forced to go to his mom's office to pick her up for lunch, only to find as soon as he's trying to figure out what he's going to tell Teague, what is he going to say to Teague, and as soon as he sees her, she's looking at her phone like pale and in tears. Okay, and we find out that her father has had a heart attack. What I really love about this scene is that big old bad BBG steps in, is like, don't worry about it. I'll call and get you
she shows like her human side.
Yes, she immediately,
like,
and then we find out that
side.
her dad had died of a heart attack. She's like, don't worry about it. I'll buy you a plane ticket. Mateo will drive you to the airport. You don't need to drive right now. And she's like, fine, whatever, because she is kind of like out of her head right now. So Mateo doesn't just drive her to the airport. He decides he's going to go with her to Oregon because he can't put her on the plane by herself, because she's so upset.
Cute.
So I know. So they swing by and get his stuff because she was going to bring Harper to help her. But Harper, also had all these things.
Basically Mateo's like, I'm going to do it. It's fine.
I'm going to take care of it. You don't need Harper. You've got me. So, but when they get there, Teague does worry a little bit how to explain Mateo to her family, but he's like, don't worry about it. We're friends. Don't worry about it, And so she's like, fine, whatever. But having him there does lighten the mood a bit. And they land with news that her father will be fine. But he does need to have this stent, that operation to put the stent in and everything. And that his mom is going to stay there at the hospital and they can all go, back to the house or whatever. So Mateo does stay for a few days. It ends up being like a week, I think, almost a week. But they hang out with Teague and he ends up staying. And of course, he's getting all these like hate texts from his mom. Like, where are you?
You need to come back.
Yeah, where you come home.
You went with her?
You went with her. And now you're not returning. What is happening? So we know BBG is really nervous about all this. And Mateo is not nervous at all. So they take their bike ride and they end up going to like this overlook or whatever and have a picnic. And you can tell things are heating up, during the picnic scene. This whole time they haven't done anything, since their weekend together. But after they make a wish
at the famous Cascade wishing well, like it's supposed to grant wishes.
Yeah, it's supposed to, she says both her sisters got their wishes granted. She tells him that she wants him to take her right there by the wishing well.
Yeah.
And like, he's like looking around like, who could come up the trail? He's like, are you sure? She's like, yes. Yeah. So basically she bends over the well and they have like really hot sex in public.
Like anybody could walk up.
Yeah. When Teague says afterwards, she says, I love having sex with you. Mateo immediately has this red flag go off because he heard the word love and he's like, he already is reinterpreting that as I love you. You know
Which
what I mean?
Was.
Which it
later
was.
Teague said, but he's like, she's not supposed to love anything about
she's not supposed to love
like
anything.
Right.
So, and he had also gotten a text earlier from Trina, the manager at his radio show, who said, look, we need you in a big meeting with the big wigs tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. You got to come home or whatever. I need you there. So he has already been thinking about this and blowing it off. But then after that moment, I think it scared him into realizing I've got a job back home, and I've got to go to do this. So but of course he doesn't mention having to leave until after they've had sex. So immediately Teague is like, you don't have to make up an excuse.
Yeah, because he says it's for soccer.
Yeah, he says it's for soccer. She's like, yeah, I'm sure there are important meetings for your soccer you have to get home to for tomorrow because they had already made plans to do something tomorrow with the family.
And that's like her last straw. She's like, okay, this is an asshole move.
Yeah. And she's like, okay, I've got to cut this off. This can't go on because obviously this isn't going anywhere.
Hey, we can't be friends anymore. Don't call me. Don't text me.
She's like, I'm done. She's so pissed. She's like, I'm done. Don't call me anymore.
It hurts too much.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh. So sad.
It's so sad. So he feels like a complete ass, but he's like, well, maybe, maybe this is what we need, this break or whatever. He's like, and he does. He leaves without explaining anything, which is so sad. I hate that she has to deal with that.
I know. So it's Madison and Henry's wedding day, and Madison wants Teague to bring the groom her grandfather's handkerchief as a good luck charm. She runs into Mateo in the hallway. It's very awkward. And she even lies to him, saying she's dating the coffee shop guy, Brendan, so that she doesn't have to hear his apologies and excuses. It's just like, okay, you already made your position clear. I don't want to hear it again and again. I totally understand that. I'm like, run, girl, run.
I get it too.
So when she gets to Henry's room, she sees him exiting the room across from his own, tucking in his shirt, and a woman in the background.
Yeah.
She's pissed. She's furious because he tries to play it off, and she's like, do not insult my intelligence.
Yeah, please.
And she says that if he really loves Madison, you need to think about letting her go. And so Teague returns, and she actually tells Madison this time what she saw. Madison's response is, he promised he'd stop after our wedding day. And I was like, Madison, I was like, you deserve so much more than this douche knuckle. Like, oh, I hate him so much.
Jeez.
So Teague is astounded that Madison thinks so little of herself, even though that they've been together for a long time, like her and Henry.
I know, because once a cheater, always a cheater.
Yeah, and their families are so close. She tells Madison that it's okay to walk away, but Madison said it's not, and she won't listen. She just like, just stop. Right. So when they are at the altar, Henry keeps looking away from Madison, and she notices, and she follows his line of sight. It's probably to the woman he was fucking.
Yeah, like he's still thinking about this chick he just did.
He's
on
a horrible
the altar.
person. He's a horrible person. So she's like, she's had enough. She finally dumps his lying, cheating ass and runs out the door. And I'm like, thank you, Madison. I remember reading this for the first time. I was like, I really hope she gets a book, because I was like, this chick deserves real love.
I was thinking that too. I would love. Have you read it?
Yeah.
Oh man, I didn't know that.
I read all of them.
Oh God. Okay, I've got to read Madison's.
So Gabrielle tells Teague to bring Madison back. But Teague calls her a cab instead. I'm like, you go, girl. Yeah. And Mateo ends up by like showing up right there because, Madison's his friend. They grew up together. And he's
supporting her.
Yeah. He makes Teague go with them to his house, like to hide out.
He's like, I'll hide you.
So she gets Madison settled, but has to return to the wedding to explain the situation and like help out. She can't just like leave her job. But Gabrielle fires Teague.
I know. He's like, and by the way, you're fired. Yeah. Get back here and finish, and then you're fired.
Yeah. I know. That's it.
So, okay. So a few days later, Teague has a proposal for Gabrielle, and I love this. I love this.
This
part.
is my backup scene for Showdown. I was like, this scene was badass.
So good. I
love
it
how
so
she
much.
just walks in with the freaking coffee, like nothing fucking happened, and she's just like, hi.
I know.
I'm here.
So she brings her usual coffee, like she's always done, sets it on her desk, said, hey, I've got a proposal for you. She's like, did you not understand that you don't work for me anymore? And you're like, oh, I know, but you're going to want to hear what I have to say. So her proposal basically is that her plan to be a travel honeymoon planner to work for her exclusively. And she has this broad plan for it.
She has a whole plan. Like she's definitely thought about it.
It's awesome. Which it would only just bring more money and more business toward Gabrielle's business. And Gabrielle listens and thinks it's a good idea, but she wants a business proposal and for Teague to find her another assistant as good as her. And I love this part because Teague kept talking and
she
Gabrielle
didn't really realize that it was a compliment until she thought about it again.
And then Gabrielle sort of like smiling and pausing. She's like, okay.
So it's like she finally acknowledged that Teague was like the best assistant that she's ever had.
And I love that. And during this time, Mateo, of course, has been wallowing since the wedding.
As he should.
Yeah. And he thinks that he really doesn't want to do the dating thing anymore, that he was more affected from his horrible ex than he let on, But he sees an opportunity to talk to Teague when he finds out his cute little 6-year-old neighbor, the little girl who calls him Teo all the time.
Like the best scenes in the book are with her.
She's adorable. So cute. I know. She says she has to go to swim lessons with, and here's her mom say, hey, we don't want Harper, to be late for Harper. And he's like, wait a second.
Harper.
You take lessons with Harper?
Can I take her to her swimming lesson, please?
So he asked to take her to a swim lesson. So he does. And this gives him, and I love that Harper's giving him death dagger looks.
Yeah, she's like, if you're going to go in there and hurt her, and she's sad, I'm really coming after you this time.
Yeah, I love that. Like, that girl power and, backing up her girl. So he ends up talking to Teague and telling her that he is Bennett, the dating guy. He confesses everything and that he had to be single for the job, but that he turned down this huge opportunity to make it like go national show and all this stuff because he's in love with her.
Oh, love is
Thank you.
sacrifice.
I know. And so he lays it all on the line. And I love how she kind of lets him kind of tortured a little bit. He's like, I'm in pain here. Can you help me? He's like, oh, you're in pain? Like she straddles
She's
his
like,
lap.
okay, that's fine. Let me soothe your pain. I love you too.
Yeah, I love you
I'm
too.
just like,
Okay.
so cute.
I know. It was so cute. And we do see down the road that Mateo has been picked up by NPR, which I think is awesome, to do a travel podcast. And so he's going with Teague on her honeymoon research trips.
Which is amazing.
Perfect.
They're a good team because that's what they've been doing the entire book, going to places, and she's been writing about it. So I think it's perfect.
It's so awesome. So he's going to go by Mateo and not Bennett anymore, which I also like that he can come out as himself.
Yeah,
you know,
now he can do his
right and be
regular job.
genuine. And he can have a girlfriend and a wife, you know.
So Teague,
Yeah.
I like her ending line for the entire book because it like brings it full circle.
Yeah. So she says, I will admit, I asked him to talk British to me just once. He whispered very dirty things in my ear, exactly how I imagined them, only coming from my boyfriends. They were so much better.
Yes. So I thought that was such a great note to end on.
It's just a total feel good story. It really
is a feel good story. And I feel like I just love their playful banter throughout the whole story. I know that it's just a little bit like, oh my God, kiss already. But it's also just like them being together as friends is just so awesome. I just love all those little tiny moments. And I'm very big on the tiny moments that they just spend together hanging out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think Robin did an excellent job of really building that relationship.
Excellent job.
Yeah. All right, you guys. We hope that you enjoyed today's episode and look forward to the next one where we'll be discussing Magic Bleeds by Alona Andrews.
Thanks so much for listening.
This goes out to all the fangirls.
Life's better with a little HEA.